Older games actually are just better games. It's not just nostalgia. I believe they are better games. So to provide some context, I grew up in the PlayStation 1. It was the first console I had, so when I mention older games, I will mostly be talking about games that are from that era to maybe the later 2000s. But as I said, older games, more often than not, they just provide the better experience for the consumer. And a lot of people today will say, no, you're just nostalgic. And that's not entirely wrong, but I do believe it's mostly wrong. One thing a lot of older games had was soul to them, and what I mean by this is that every aspect, every detail of the game had thought and care put into it. Take the text, for example. A lot of older games had a unique font with color to really make the tone of the game shine. We're seeing less and less of this today. I first noticed this with Skyrim. Oblivion had a brownish type text that fit really well with your parchment-themed stats menu, but then in 2011 I played Skyrim and it was just this kind of plain white text. The game had less personality like this, I thought. Skyrim didn't even really have a theme at all. Whenever you opened your stats menu, it was just a transparent background with white text. Another thing is that music in these older games are iconic. We're not seeing so much of that anymore with newer games. Ocarina of Time has some banger tracks to it, and so did Kingdom Hearts. Hollow Bastion is still a song that pops into my head every now and then, and I haven't played Kingdom Hearts in a very long time. Even Modern Warfare 2 had some awesome tracks in it, but today, aside from Expedition 33, the game that people are praising for reminding them of how games used to be, I can't really think of many games that have a good music score. Another issue with a lot of games today is that they often don't trust the player to navigate their way through the environment. Tomb Raider, the modern ones for example, will let the player walk a few steps, solve a puzzle, then a cinematic plays. Then you walk a few steps, and another cinematic plays. Walk a few steps, and another cinematic plays. And these constant hiccups in pacing happen in the span of like 3 minutes. And to add to this, signposting has become incredibly lazy. Instead of games making their own unique way of guiding the player, a lot of them just resort to using yellow paint. Something that is extremely immersion breaking and also a backhanded insult to the player's intelligence. I have played older games when they became far out of style and noticed that I have enjoyed them much more. Tenchu Stealth Assassins was a game I got into far after the series dissipated from the industry. I really enjoyed Tenchu. Same with Thief. I was late to the party on Thief as well, and I've put a ton of hours into Thief. And most recently, I started playing the remake of Resident Evil 1, and while I have some frustrations with it, I cannot put this game down. I can usually only play a game for 1 hour, but my last session with it, time just went by. I played it for 4 hours. Like I said, I could not put it down. I really needed to go to bed, but I kept telling myself, well, just get to a save point. And then I got to a save point, and then I told myself, well, maybe just scout ahead until you die. And that's what I did, which took a lot more time. But I gave myself a new excuse to keep playing because I just didn't want to stop playing. It was engaging, and so far the game hasn't lost sight of itself. I am invested in the story, and I am never interested in zombie games because I just think they're boring and generic. It's the, hey Joe, you want to play a zombie game meme. But something about the first Resident Evil has me so enthralled. And a lot of people will argue, well, those older games aren't as long as the new ones. And yes, you're correct, but ironically, that's more of a positive because they were at least fun to replay, and that's where they did become a longer experience. A lot of games today don't have that replay value. Most of the newer games make a multiple playstyle gimmick as justification for saying a game has replay value. Older games had replay value simply because they were just fun to play. They didn't need multiple playstyles. You just had one really fun game to play, and when you were done, you wanted to go replay it again. Older games didn't waste your time with bloat like a lot of games today do. This is slightly related to the last video I posted, but a lot of people will play games to a point where they finished all the content, or more specifically, they got all the achievements, but they realized afterward that they didn't really have fun doing it. And I think this slog of gameplay is what hinders the user experience in a lot of ways, because a lot of the time, half the content is just filler and nothing meaningful, whereas if you play an older game, it has just a few things they set out for you to do, and when you're done, that was it. Thanks for playing, we hope you enjoyed. A lot of older games didn't outstay their welcome. It's one of the big reasons indie titles are still getting good feedback today. They set out to do something and do a good job doing it. I played older games wanting more because I enjoyed what they already gave. Today I play games wanting more because I feel like I haven't actually scratched the surface yet, and I believe that is the problem. Older games are shorter but more meaningful, while newer games are longer but dreadful. Now I'm not saying having achievements or some extras in games is bad, but today it seems more like they're considered as the main part of the game rather than side content. Today, with the technology we have, you expect the experience to be amplified, to be more exciting, but instead all the money goes into unnecessary details that most people will not ever notice, or it goes into into unnecessary cinematics, the part of the game that isn't even playing the game. And I want to be clear that when I'm talking about this subject, I am speaking in a general sense. There have been bad or mediocre games that have existed in every generation, and there are good games today that might have extra content or some challenges that the player missed, and it still works because the main course delivered so much. But to me, there is a noticeable shift in the amount of bad games or games that are just bloated with mediocrity that it appears to slowly be turning into the norm. And that's what sparks a lot of us to say games used to be good. Expedition 33 and Liza P are the exception. They both provide an original and exceptional experience for the player that they'll never forget. They know when the right time to use a cinematic is. They know when and how to teach the player a new mechanic. They know how much of an effect that seemingly small details such as music have on the experience. They both use the resources available to them to pump out a masterpiece. Modern AAA is not doing that. So this is just my take on it. I don't believe we enjoyed older games solely for the nostalgia, and my enjoyment of older games I never played is evidence for that. These older games simply were just better games. I enjoy them. They're not out to waste my time. They are there to give me a good experience, and that's it. We need modern AAA games to start going in this direction again. Just make a product that has a finite amount of great content instead of a game that wastes your time and is bloated with boring chores or useless details. That's it. Those are my thoughts. Goodbye.